At a time, okay. Next question from Georgina Jolibois, please.
Thank you, Mr. Obet and Mr. Higgs. I appreciate your presentations. I'm sitting here and I too feel frustrated from a subjective perspective and then from the objective perspective. Regardless, we in Canada, if you live in the north, like the territories, and the mid-north, the provinces, I come from northern Saskatchewan. I feel frustrated because every time we hear on the news or we are subjected, our friends and family, we hear that someone has died due to suicide. It's a painful process and it's not a very pleasant experience to experience. And yet when we look to services and programs, and there's different levels of solutions, of areas that we need to look at. And I appreciate the report that you're talking about, and I look forward to reading it because I want to gain thorough understanding as to what it is, the difference between the far north, the territories that you're experiencing. Subjective, what elders, and in your perspective, what elders do elders play a key role in the healing process in your area?
Thank you for the question. Inuit were, and this is subjective as well, but had to have been some of the most resilient people on the planet. The experiences that many Inuit had to go through to survive on the land is extraordinary, and there are many accounts of Inuit who went through starvation or the Spanish flu epidemics in the 1918-1919 period, where whole communities were wiped out except for some small children. The stories that our elders tell us about what they had to go through to survive is powerful and uplifting in so many different ways. And so we need to harness that sort of resilience and try to understand the power of that resilience and transferring that to those who live today. And elders have that key knowledge about why they responded to incredibly difficult situations in the way that they did. And so their wisdom and their life experience needs to inform the way that we think about this issue. Also, the very tenets of Inuit society, the foundation that we live in, is something that our people are saying that we want to return to those ways, and that culture and language and our history is essential for our well-being. So we need to ensure that we give our children and we give our societies our teachings and our perspective on the world. That sometimes is in relation to suicide prevention, and sometimes it's in relation to community development, to getting back to the place where we were as a society, and to feeling as though that we are fulfilled in the way that we interact with all of our elders and the way in which our communities function. So I would say that Inuit society has a great, and Inuit history and our elders have a great deal to play in informing us about how to be resilient, informing us about how we can be healthy again, and then also in relation to suicide prevention specifically, in supporting our society to heal from what it has gone through.
I have another question. From the objective point of view, and we as Canadians, here we are in this hearing from an objective point of view where you've provided some feedback. What message can we carry with us to do our work as parliamentarians to make sure that we keep on track with the messages?
First and foremost, I do not believe that it is respectful for the government to prescribe solutions for Indigenous peoples when it comes to suicide. Many of the reasons why our communities are the way they are is because of colonization and because of programs and policies of the Canadian government that have created historical and intergenerational trauma. So now to say that without true partnership with Indigenous Canadians and representatives of Indigenous Canadians, that the Canadian government will do this to prevent suicide is another form of speaking on our behalf and not actually partnering in an Inuit to Crown or nation to nation way. The second part of that is that social equity is necessary, and that we have so much to do to be able to ensure that all Canadians have equity, and that within the Inuit community, there are very specific, simple, straightforward measures that we can take to do that. And as Canadians, we all should believe that we demand equity within Canada.
Thank you.
Use it.
What message can we give to our youth?
Thank you. That is a wonderful question. Youth are often expected to come up with solutions in a vacuum within this issue. And I know that youth carry a tremendous burden already, expectations from their families, from their communities, and with themselves about who they are as Indigenous people, who they are as Inuit in my case. And often I believe that we don't do enough to ensure that they have the necessary ingredients to succeed. And there's so many of our youth that have succeeded in despite of the systems that are undermining their potential and their ability to be strong and proud Inuit. So I commend our Inuit youth for all that they are doing and all that they have said that they wanted for society. But I also say that we need to demand a better future, and Inuit youth need to stand up and say in very clear ways that the realities that they have lived through are not acceptable, and that we all can do better to improve the lives of Inuit youth.
Thank you.